After moving into a new home, a couple soon discovers that their dog is acting strangely. A dog can learn almost any trick once you have their attention, but it takes a lot of time and effort to teach them. Even while it might require a lot of labor, the results are ultimately worthwhile. But for one pet owner, training her dog turned out to be a far weirder struggle than she had imagined. Although the dog was aware of the broad idea, he ultimately made the decision to act independently and demonstrate to his owner that there are alternative approaches to problems. Not everyone thinks that golden retrievers are the smartest canines in the world. Even once they have mastered a talent, they have a tendency to perform things in their own unique ways, even if they are trainable. According to one owner who used Tumblr to share her experience, it was undoubtedly the case. She immediately started training her rescue retriever how to alert her when he wanted to go outdoors to relieve himself when she initially acquired him. Eventually, she managed to train the dog to go to the front door whenever he felt like it, but for some reason, he chose to give the routine a strange twist. The dog seems to believe that another way to let people know he needed to leave was to lick the door. He would occasionally wait at the entrance to watch what was going on, but they knew he didn't need to urinate until he was licking. The owner was relieved that his training was over, despite the strangeness of it all, until they relocated. This kind of shift is traumatic for all parties involved, including the pets, and this poor man was no different. The owner of this dog was having difficulty adjusting to her new home, but at least she was aware of what was going on. At first, this dog was so perplexed that it caused quite a funny situation. The dog understood that he may approach and lick the front door to alert his humans if he needed to go outdoors. The only issue here, though, was that he wasn't really sure where the new front door was located. His owner thought he would figure out where to lick to go outside because their new house only had one front entrance, but it didn't work out. But the dog was showing signs of being a little sluggish to catch on. He would still lick the door whenever he had to go outside and relieve himself, but it would never be the front door. Rather, it would be whatever door he happened to locate. His owner found it hard to believe. When the poor dog needed to go outdoors, he started licking every door he saw, including cabinet doors in the kitchen and bathrooms. The owner was baffled by the dog's actions and couldn't decide if he was intelligent or just a little sluggish. The dog was trained to lick the entrance door at the former residence. All he had to do to get his master out of the shower, wrapped in a towel and secured with a leash, was to lick the frosted glass door. His owner began to suspect that perhaps her dog had just realized he had discovered a shortcut: lick the door closest to him to get outdoors. If not, her dog would truly believe that every door led to a mystical Narnia that, once being licked, would transform into a gateway that would go directly to relief for dogs. Although the dog thought it was a brilliant move, his owner found it to be somewhat annoying. In order to make sure the dog wasn't licking doors, they had to dash from room to room if some time had gone and no one had seen him. His owner was aware that she would not have much time before the dog had an accident if he ran off to lick a door in a far-off room, and she clearly didn't want that to happen. She believed that people didn't realize how strange it was to go into a room and witness a dog sticking his tongue on a door, even if others found it amusing when she told them about her dog's crazy behavior. In an attempt to document her dog's desperate want to explore the big outdoors, she thus made the decision to begin filming him when he was slobbering. Before long, she saw her dog stroll upstairs by himself after getting up from the kitchen floor. She followed him stealthily, holding a camera. How was he going about it? Why did he enter her bedroom and begin to kiss her closet door? This is undoubtedly a dog that requires some guidance. If not his bladder, at least his heart is in the right place. Even if he might not have done it perfectly, this dog is nonetheless making an effort. It may be unsettling to bring a dog into the family, of course, and one Washington family quickly discovered that their new canine needed more care than they had anticipated. However, his peculiar actions then took an unexpected turn, which caused them to reevaluate everything. Andrew and Clara Davis wanted nothing more than to welcome a puppy into their household, just like many other children had done before them. For them, having a dog came with a bit more responsibility, but it was still worth it. Before learning about Patch, a puppy that had just been placed for adoption, their parents, Nola and Richard, weren't quite ready for a dog. "We tricked the kids. Richard recounted the day he and his spouse brought Patch home. They were unable to see our dog since it was concealed in the rear seat. Peering within, they asked themselves, "What is it?" Little Clara Davis remarked, "I just lost it and started crying because I was so excited when they finally saw the dog." At last, Andrew and Clara's request was granted. They were overjoyed. Patch, on the other hand, blended in with his new family as if he had always been a member of the Davis household. He was right at home. But one thing that Patch detested was apparent to the family. Andrew stated he did not like water. He didn't like going into the bathtub or in the bathroom or taking his baths. Water was the least of Patch's concerns, though, very soon. Patch grew and grew and grew, as puppies often do. Nola became concerned as he kept growing. How much bigger could this small puppy possibly get? As Patch started to grow, we realized that maybe we had made a mistake, Nola said. He was going to be a big dog, and the house was an awful small house. We didn't have a large yard, expressed Andrew, who also regretted the situation. Patch wasn't really able to stay somewhere. The Davis family then talked about their alternatives, some of which were quite sad. What if they donated Patch to a different house? One with ample room for the dog to run about and burn off energy. A house befitting a canine king? Nola and Richard asked. Andrew, though, declined. "I refused," Andrew remarked. "I promised to construct a fence or something." Nola and Richard decided to hold off on making a choice for a few days because of the young man's commitment to the dog. But on January 12, 1999, a few days later, Nola unwinded in the bathtub while the radio was blasting at full force. Being alone herself at home, she was startled when Patch burst into the bathroom, which happens to be his least favorite area. Patch, who was even weirder, entered the room with a purpose. His fangs found their way into Nola's hanging arm. How absurd is that? Had the dog discovered that his family was about to throw him out? But Nola soon discovered that Patch was tugging on her instead of biting her. He had something he wanted to show her. As she was about to eject Patch from the tub, she saw smoke. She quickly grabbed a robe. The home was ablaze as she opened the bathroom door. Even worse, when the door was opened, the fire spread inside the bathroom, igniting it there as well. Patch and Nola were blinded by smoke and encircled by flames. With the dexterity of a firefighter, Patch guided Nola through the flaming house, pausing sometimes to make sure she was still following him. Patch helped her get to the front yard at last. Nola wanted to dash back into the house and get her vehicle keys since she wasn't thinking straight. But Patch shoved her aside and blocked her path. He would not allow her to encounter that risk. A few moments afterward, flames shot out of the windows. Everything owned by the Davis family was reduced to ashes by the electrical short that started the fire. But Patch and Nola were spared. He was the hero, and the dog knew it. Clara remarked, "He was walking like, 'Oh, I'm a good dog.' Every time you handed him a reward, he would say, 'I did this. Now I get all the attention,' indicating that he realized he had done something." Regarding the decision of whether or not to give Patch away, Nola and Richard had a simple solution. In Montana, the family purchased a new house with a yard Patch could play in.